As far as I'm aware, and please correct me if I am wrong, James Degale's contract with Eddie Hearn Matchroom has now expired. It has reached the end of its term. And most of you will have seen after the Badu Jack fight on Saturday night, Floyd Mayweather expressed his interest in signing James Degale publicly. A long time ago, I said that, in my opinion, James Degale's best bet in order to get the most out of himself would be to go and not necessarily join, but go and train with the Mayweathers. That's my view, and it's still my view now. But that doesn't necessarily mean signing with Floyd Mayweather. I'm not sure if signing with Floyd Mayweather would be the best thing for James Degale to do. Mayweather is a relative newcomer in the boxing promotional market in terms of dealing with fighters and getting them fights, putting shows together, so on and so forth. Now, the show on Saturday was a good show, but will Floyd Mayweather have the consistency moving forward to be putting on good shows after good shows and getting opponents, and will he be able to maximize James Degale's revenue? I think that James Degale, if he was based in the UK, going forward from now, that's where he's going to get paid the most money. Because in the UK, you've got the likes of George Groves, who potentially could be a world champion very soon. And you've got Chris Eubank Jr., who, although he's fighting for what most of us regard as a Mickey Mouse belt in the IBO, he is a very big name. And that's potentially a big money fight for James Degale in the UK. These are not fights that you'd want to see in the US. These are not fights that would make sense in the US from a financial point of view. So James Degale signing with Mayweather to go and fight a couple of Brits doesn't really seem like it would work. Or at least, if he re-signed with Eddie Hearn, it seems like it would work better. That's what I can say. So I think that him maybe training with the Mayweathers would be the better way to go. And no disrespect to Jim McDonnell. I'm sure he's a great guy, and I know he's been around in boxing a long time. I watched him when he was fighting Jim McDonnell. But I don't think his style, well, I know that his style when he was a fighter was nothing like James Degale's style. And I know that Jim McDonnell is a student of the game and he studies it and he's obsessed with boxing. I'm just not sure that he's the best person to take James Degale to the next level. I'm not sure that he understands the slick boxing style that James Degale tries to implement as well as the Mayweathers do. A lot of people are going to scream out loyalty. James Degale is showing loyalty to Jim McDonnell, and that is admirable. And I agree, it is admirable. But there's no place in the grand scheme of things for loyalty in boxing with regards to fighters keeping people on just because they want to show loyalty. The reason I say that is because boxers have relatively short careers compared to the majority of professions. A boxer's prime years are even shorter than that. And even within their prime years, the window in which they're able to make life-changing sums of money is even smaller still. So there's a very finite time that a boxer can make serious life-changing sums of money within his career. Which means the clock is ticking. It's a race against the clock. You have to get things absolutely right. You have to make the absolute most out of your ability while you have the opportunity to profit from it. So because of that, I'm not into this whole thing of keeping this trainer on because he's been with me a long time, or keeping this promoter because he's been with me from day. I'm not into all that. If you're doing that, I'm not knocking you, but you have to realize that there might be better people out there for the job. The Furies have been very loyal to Mick Hennessy, but they didn't leave Tyson Fury's career to Mick Hennessy, did they? They've kept him on board and have kept him as part of the setup, but when they really wanted to make a big fight, they went to Frank Warren. That's what they did, people. They did a deal with Frank Warren and Box Nation, and they eventually got the Klitschko fight, which I believe was Mick Hennessy rather than Frank Warren's involvement, but still, they had to go through another promoter in order to get that big fight. It was Frank Warren that got them the Eliminator, because the WBO Eliminator was the rematch with Derek Chisora. This is what you have to do in boxing. If they would have just stuck with Hennessy, I don't think he would have been able to get them into that position. And as I say, same goes with trainers. There's no room for all this, oh, well, he's been with me from day one, so I don't want to get a different trainer. It's your career, man. You know, if you want to make the most of it, if you want to make the most of your ability, then you're going to have to say, look, this is nothing personal, but it is my career, and I have to do it right, because you only get one shot at this. So I'm going to have to let you go and get somebody else to come in and train me instead. Somebody who I think is more capable. Somebody who I think understands this style better than you do. So, yep, I reckon James Degale should consider. I don't think he will, because the relationship that he has with Jim McDonnell is very, very close. But if I was his advisor, I would advise him to, sounds harsh, but get rid of Jim McDonnell. And maybe not even get rid of Jim McDonnell. Let me take that back for a second. I would advise him to at least go and train in the Mayweather gym. That's what I would advise. And whatever transpires from there is what transpires from there. But I would advise him to go and train in the Mayweather gym. Many other fighters have done it. Chris Eubank Jr. has done it in the past. So that's what I would advise. A lot of you may disagree with me. A lot of you may think that the Mayweather gym is maybe overrated and this, that, or the other. That's fair enough. But just to reiterate, sorry to sound like I'm repeating myself, but in my view, that style that James Degale has is a style that they know much more about in the Mayweather team than Jim McDonnell. You know, they understand the mechanics of it, how it works, how it's best utilized, how to perfect the technique of that style, and how to utilize it best tactically in fights. Just my thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.